So for PWHL Toronto, it's been a season to remember. It didn't start out quite the way they wanted, with that disheartening 4-0 loss to New York in the PWHL's historic first game, and then 3 more losses in their first 5 games, firmly planting them at the bottom of the league standings in the early going. We got used to seeing this, other teams celebrating, Toronto trying to regroup, and even in a season full of firsts for the brand new league, this has been just an extraordinary story. So they had the most players from Team Canada's national team, and we thought they'd have the built-in chemistry, but you had players like Sarah Nurse, Blair Turnbull, and Emma Malte initially struggling to get on the scoreboard. The only one performing was Natalie Spooner. She scored the first home and away goals in franchise history. She scored the first hat trick in team history, and she got 11 points in their first 10 games. But maybe the adversity wasn't a bad thing.
Having to battle through adversity, makes you stronger. So I'm looking forward to the third and, having our backs maybe a little bit against the wall, but there's still a lot of hockey to be played.
I think early on in the season, there was so much information thrown at us through training camp, and everyone, we have such a great group of girls, and everyone wants to go out there to execute exactly what we're being told to execute, and people were gripping their sticks tight and not just kind of playing that free game. And it took us a little bit of games and to work through some things of just everyone being confident and playing their game, and we simplified some of our systems, and we've really hit their ground running since then. And I think a lot of it was just players getting comfortable with what we were doing, and our confidence literally never wavered in our 5 games that we were not doing well, and it's paying off going through that adversity.
Definite storyline is the struggles of netminder Kristen Campbell. For the first 5 games, she had only an .876 save percentage, and her goals against average was about 3.5. But then we got to the game, the turning point. Even in the moment, I thought maybe this will do it. It was that 4-3 shootout win against Montreal. They played a little bit grittier. We had Marie-Philippe Poulin scoring the tying goal in the third period. It just looked like things were still kind of going against them. But Kristen Campbell started to have a different look. In the shootout, she stopped Poulin on 3 of her 4 attempts. Yeah, they let Poulin shoot 4 times in what was a total of a 6-round shootout.
Close, and that one, what a save by Campbell. She does! Toronto!
Going into that game, they were dead last, and their playoff chances were 26%. And even after that game, they lost to Ottawa, and the chances plunged to 16% before they started to put together some consistent performances.
And we were saying it during it. We were literally this is the time to go through it. Let's see what this group's made of. Can we push through this? And it actually brought us closer. We look back on it together, we're all laughing about, what we kind of went through. But special group, we really had a special group.
And that turnaround in February was crucial for shaping their entire season. We had the battle on Bay Street against Montreal at Scotiabank Arena, which they won 3-0. And at that point, they moved into a playoff position. As February went on, the wins kept coming, 5 in total, not dropping a game the entire month.
They matched the physicality, and I think for them, they're very good on their forecheck, really finishing their check, and big physical holidays, and I think that's something for us we got to match with them.
Then they stormed into March, carried a 6-game winning streak, stretching it to 9 as they started to connect on offense, and to me, they looked dominant. This is what assistant coach Rachel Flanagan said.
Yeah, I think it's probably heard it a bunch of times, but it's really about the trying to play to our identity, and I think in those first stretch of 5 or 6 games, we really we were close, we just couldn't find a way to score. So I don't think that we were necessarily playing bad hockey at the beginning. We've just sort of figured out how to consistently play with less of those dips in our game.
And I had a chance to ask players specifically about that little bit of a rough start.
I think what's special about our group is we've had the same feeling the entire season. Everybody talks about the not great start we've had, but if you look back at the games that we played at the beginning of the season, we played the same way. Things just weren't working out for us, things weren't clicking. And as we progressed through the season, we've been able to manage the emotions, the highs and lows, and been able to be pretty steady throughout the season.
Of course, the shining bright spot continued to be Natalie Spooner. And on March 23rd, her 2 goals against Ottawa in the last game before the break gave her the overall PWHL scoring lead, 15 goals, 5 assists, 20 points. She's been everything they could have expected and more.
I don't know. I feel like I'm playing the same way I try to play all the time, but just trying to play the right way and use my body, get pucks to the net, use my speed,
and then returning to Campbell. In February, her numbers were really impressive, a .946 save percentage and a 1.60 goals against average, much more what we expected from her. But she hadn't played a lot of games, and that's really all it seemed to take was for her to get her feet back under her, to get into a rhythm. I got to ask Spooner about this specifically. How do you feel about Campbell right now? How happy are you for her?
We feel great about her. I mean, we knew that once we kind of got, a few wins under our belt, she'd be cruising. We knew how good she was. And, I think that now we see it and everyone else sees it, just how stellar she is in net. And she's a brick wall. She's got the size, she's got the athleticism, and she makes huge saves for us.
And both of them, Spooner and Campbell, were named the Supra Stars of the Month in the February and March editions.
Too much on the standings, but really just trying to take it one game at a time. And I think, if we're playing the way we're playing now and kind of continuing that, I think, we can move up the standings for sure.
In mid-February, their playoff odds went to 50% and then continued upward to 72% as they entered March. And now in the last few games, they've soared right up to 99%. You could even call it 100%. They just need 1 point in their last 5 games to ensure that they'll finish in at least the top 4, and of course the top 4 teams qualify. So just before the break, they ran their historic win streak to 11 with kind of a last-minute victory over Boston, starting to show maybe a few cracks in the armor when they went into Ottawa and ended the streak, lost 5-3, even though Spooner continued her strong play with 2 goals. So will they finish on top and get to pick their playoff opponent? We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, the story of Toronto's rise from absolute worst to absolute first is one of my favorite this season.
The confidence never wavered, so it was like we lose and we just won it, but we like it's coming, like it's almost there, the tipping point's almost there, like you could just feel it and sense it. So it never felt like a switch was flipped. It was like just progress each game. Finally, we're here and we're streaks again.
What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.